Hey everybody, I'm Maria Campbell from Cooks Who Care, and our show, Beyond the Table, is really trying to help you inform your decisions. And today in this episode, we are talking about hospitality real estate. Why is it such a mystery to make a successful business? Well, let's talk to Vincent Stipo about those behind the decisions that come into play, how long it takes to get where you want to be, and the realistic expectations of what success should be for yourself.
If you've opened at least one restaurant, I think that's a question you've already answered yourself, which is, I need help. Who do you have running this? Who's actually touching the guest? It's fun to do all these designs and build outs and whatever, but if you don't have the people in the space, it's not going to run. It's not going to work. Making a certain amount of money to pay rent and have some left over, and if you can figure out how that calculation works, you're in a really good place. Hi, I'm Vincent Stipo. I am a real estate and hospitality professional with MSC Retail. I've been in restaurants for about 15 years and have recently moved into the real estate sector to help new and existing restaurateurs find their next space.
So let's talk about a little bit about your work prior to MSC Retail, because I think it's an interesting road to be where you worked previously and now in hospitality consulting on a real estate side.
Yeah, it was, my career has always been very organic in its steps. I was in school for hospitality management, kind of learned a little bit of everything, accounting and financials associated with hotel and restaurant operations, and then while I was in school started really working at a established brand that taught me a lot of what I learned from the get-go in restaurants. And from there I kind of worked my way from the back of house through the front of house ranks and ended up managing restaurants in Philadelphia. And it was just, something really cool to be approached by a gentleman, one of the partners at MSC Retail, who had been a regular of mine in a couple different places in Philadelphia. That was the introduction. It was casual and it was at events, and MSC Retail had been building up their restaurant portfolio and realized that it was a big piece of what they did day to day, especially in the city. And so bringing someone on from that side of the table made a lot of sense, and so we started chatting about what that would look like, and it seemed like a great fit, both for me to bring that expertise to the real estate world and for them to bring somebody in that really knew what it felt like to run a business in that space.
How can you explain to people what's happening now as far as hospitality properties go?
There is, there's a romance to it all, and that's part of what we manage day to day. The restaurant business is one that I think everybody has touched at some point in their life, whether they're a diner or having a drink at a bar or actually running a restaurant. Once you've done one of those things, I think some part of you thinks you can do it. What I've learned is that it is extremely hard to sort of learn that craft and dedicate yourself to it. The industry, can be a grind, but the true success stories are those that understand the business side of it. I think, historically, we've seen some pretty large and wildly successful restaurant groups that started from humble beginnings really take off, and they're often owned and run by non-restaurant professionals. They weren't chefs, they weren't a server that's now the general manager. They're business people that understand how to make money, and then surround themselves with people that have a passion for it and understand the product. It's a little bit of the wild, wild west, and everything is different. There's no two buildings the same, there's no two landlords that are the same, there's no two restaurants that are the same, and there's no community that's the same. So being able to plug and play and match all of these different concepts and in really a collection of intangibles and having it all sort of align perfectly in the right moment is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And so our job as real estate consultants and hospitality professionals is to try and eliminate as many of those variables as possible and put you in a position to succeed and kind of help mold what that looks like.
Are they looking to purchase? Are they looking to rent? What do you feel that they have a strong understanding of?
What I found is there's a lot of, it changes if you have 4 or 5 restaurants, you've done this a few times, the things that you're looking at and asking questions about are very different than a startup. For most of the startups, I don't think they truly understand how much goes into the actual transaction of real estate, whether it's a purchase or a sale. The timeline, I think a lot of people call me and say, I want to be open for the fall because that's when it starts to get busy. 60 days may seem like a long time, but a lot of deals can take 6 to 12 months. It's fun to look for space, right? You're house shopping, and it's fun to go out on a Saturday and look at 5 or 6 different houses that you might buy. The same applies for commercial real estate, where when you finally raise the money and you finally have the restaurant concept, it's fun to go look at all these spaces and talk about the possibilities. And so I think a lot of people, their first instinct is to do it themselves. I know what I'm looking for. I want 14-foot ceilings with a vaulted entryway and original tile floors and a gorgeous patio, right? Go take a look for that and come back around in a year and we'll chat. So I think, and the same applies for, attorneys. People come to us and I ask them, do you have legal counsel for, when we get to this point, you'll need somebody to look at these documents and help finalize this. They say, yeah, we have a family attorney we've used for years, but this isn't a real estate attorney, this isn't a restaurant attorney. And so really finding the right people to help you with the right things is key in this process. You can't do everything, and if there's anyone that knows that best, it's restaurant operators, because they're already working so hard and they're working long days and long weeks. So if you've opened at least one restaurant, I think that's a question you've already answered yourself, which is, I need help. Who do you have running this? Who's actually touching the guest? It's fun to do all these designs and build outs and whatever, but if you don't have the people in the space, it's not going to run. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Fill in the blank. Before you sign a lease, you should
hire a lawyer. You should look at more than one space. You should have a broker on your end. I think sometimes people walk into deals where there's only one broker on one side and they think that's enough. If the landlord has a broker, you should have a broker. It says real estate professional on my card, but if it could say what it actually means, it's information collector, right? Our job is only as good as the information that we have, and if you're signing a lease at 20th and Walnut, you should know what the lease that was signed at 19th and Walnut looks like and what the lease at 21st and Walnut looks like. And it allows you to make informed decisions that are based on real data. If you're signing a lease and you don't have that information, you've missed something, and you might not be putting yourself in a position to be successful.
Have you ever come across in your job where there was just a total curveball that came your way?
Yeah, every day. Every day there's a new curveball. Let's see, last week, we had been working on a lease with a really great quick service concept that was expanding nationally, and we had this great space for them. And we thought it was a great match, and both sides were moving along. The transaction, it really took 10 plus months to negotiate this deal, and this was going to be really great once it was kind of finished. And we had sent out the 60 pages of documentation out to the tenant to sign, and we were finished. We were almost ready to pour the champagne, and the deal was in their hands just for a signature, and we get a note back from them that in that 10, 12 month time it took to negotiate the lease, they had opened 3 or 4 other units nationally and found that their size requirement had changed, that their revenue per square foot wasn't justifying the size they were originally going after. And so they sent the document back and apologized and said that it was too big and they couldn't take it. That's a curveball with a slider finish, right? The restaurant business is a very volatile business. 3 years of great success followed by 6 months of downtime that might not be anything controllable can sometimes put you out of business. But if you own the real estate, maybe you've taken that off the table, at least because you can buy yourself some time as your own landlord. So when people come to us and they're looking to buy real estate, it's definitely a long-term move, and it makes a lot of sense. It really just comes down to the economics, if it makes sense for the business. It takes a lot to get a restaurant off the ground. If you're also closing a real estate deal and dealing with potentially apartments above. It can change the equation. Today, MSC is much more of a full service firm. My job day to day is the real estate side, helping people find space and negotiating for it, and helping them with some of those questions that you have along the way. The second piece is the consulting piece. So now that same person comes to MSC and says, I'm one of the best chefs in the city, and I know what kind of restaurant I open, but I don't have a business plan, I don't have money. Well, we can help you with that, and it's a different service, but it's through the same firm. So we can now help with the business plan writing. We can, set you up with investor meetings. We can, consult on the project from basically the moment you have the idea up until the moment you open the doors. We do it all now, so when those people come to us, that's something that we can offer. Is we can say, here are the steps you need, and we can help you with them. So we'll meet everyone where they're at.